Since Reddit is mostly dominated by Americans, non-American Redditors, what is a common thing you come across in American Reddit stories but is practically non-existent in your country? The foods from America, Pop-Tarts, Dunkaroos and those things. I have no idea what they are taste like. Abbreviations for US states. Also lots of other abbreviations in general. Have to Google everything. Fahrenheit, feet and things like junior high, senior year of high school and the grade system. I found a British year group system converter and now I understand. Junior high and middle school are also used interchangeably, in case you'd never heard that before. McDonald's ice cream machine is working just fine here. One of the best fast food chains ice cream actually. Student debt, very expensive insulin. The McDonald's ice cream machine. Never understood that joke. American sports. Baseball and American football in particular. Whenever there's been a big game it's all over Reddit and I'll have no idea what everyone is talking about. I'm American and I don't know either. Besides the usual stuff like healthcare, college etc. I think something I noticed is the common experience of having certain types of stores available and the common understanding of what it is like to shop there. For example, getting stuff cheap in bulk at Costco or grabbing an item on clearance at Target. Understanding what people at Walmart are and what type of experience shopping at a Walmart is. Having lived in the US for a while but growing up in a different country, I think a lot of people know most of these shops mainly from Hollywood shows and movies. Tax not being included in prices at the store. They do this to us in Canada too. I hate it so much. Tipping 15-20%. Credit scores. I don't even understand what a credit score is, to be honest. Adults living with their parents and looking at this as a failure in life. I lived for some time in the Republic of Georgia and all of my friends my age, 26, lived with their parents and it seemed like, if anything, their parents' society would be offended if they moved out. The whole time I lived there I not once heard of someone living alone while unmarried, unless they were a student from a different city. Talk to your school psychologist. I have never seen any in the few countries I've lived in. I'd like to know how parents can gain access to their adult children's bank accounts or credit cards. Also, I'm surprised at how lax companies are at disclosing personal information. They are trying to get stricter with that stuff, but when a parent knows all their kids' personal info they can get access to anything. And with automated services becoming the norm it is even easier for them. Not calling the ambulance. I just am horrified by the thought that someone would stop somebody calling an ambulance because they have to pay it themselves. I am American, but spent a lot of time living overseas. One thing I noticed after living outside of America is that Americans think almost any comment about women and children has hidden sexual intent. There is an overwhelming phobia of sexual predators in America. Driving for more than 3 hours to somewhere and not being in a new country. I can drive 8 hours and still not leave the state. Parents kicking out their kids once they are 18. In my country, the parents would even try their best to make you stay even when you have your own family and kids. Molasses. I literally heard about it so many times and have no clue what it is. The dark, slightly bitter residue from processing sugarcane. They get all the clean white sugar out first, slightly darker sugar next, and what's left is a dark, sweet syrup. Molasses is also known as treacle, especially in older texts. Talking about Europe like it's one country. There's a big difference between say Kogoan Island and Paris, France. I keep seeing a post on FB that says, "Are you vacationed in Europe? Where did you go? Balmain or Rome?" Huge difference is quality of holiday. That and anything NFL. It's confusing. They were showing some matches when they were in London and I tried watching, but there was a lot of standing around. Not having the ability to take any time off work. It's like annual leave isn't a thing out there. Talking to strangers out of the blue. Just casual talking to someone because you like that person or X, Y, Z. Just feels weird to me. This changes from place to place in the US. When I lived in the Midwest you could actually end up making friends in a grocery line. On the West Coast now and I can pick out Midwesterners by seeing who makes comfortable eye contact in a crowd. Ads for prescription drugs. They're banned where I live. You're not even allowed to mention their name on billboards or posters. Also, baby showers and gender reveal parties. That's an alien concept in all of the countries where I've lived. Drive-through restaurants aren't really a big thing elsewhere. As someone who's always worried about health, I'm tired of seeing this in cancer commercials. They are everywhere and even mentioned on some TV shows. Just hug, I don't want to think about it, just stop bringing it up. I'm pregnant and have a young child, so I'm in a lot of pregnancy and child rearing subreddits. I find there is a lot of talk about health insurance, what people have to pay to give birth, etc. In my county we don't pay anything to give birth or during our pregnancies, so this concept is foreign to me. There is also a lot of talk of insane maternity leaves, like 3 weeks unpaid, or women feeling very lucky for getting like 10 weeks. Again, in my country, we get up to 18 months of partially paid maternity leave through the government, so seeing these women discuss their barbaric maternity leave policies is actually pretty depressing. Aussie here. Here's one thing I've noticed. Americans on the internet will automatically assume that anyone else they're talking to is from America. Everyone else will just assume that the person they're talking to is probably from a country other than their own. I'm Canadian and I still assume everyone on the internet is American, lol. Not being able to talk about anything without using the conservative or liberal labels. Sounds like lib talk to me. Obsession with race and ethnicity. I'm 1/16 Irish, so I'm naming my daughter Siobhan. I've noticed that basically every single post on a criminal conviction will have comments like that and calls for the judge or prosecutor to lose their job unless the prison sentence is absolutely massive. People want multiple year convictions for non-violent crimes as long as they dislike the criminal enough. The US has such a strong imprisonment culture that my country doesn't have. People love the concept of prison reform on Reddit until you go into the comments of an article about a specific crime. Then they're calling for the death penalty for someone who robbed a 7-Eleven. Feet, pounds and miles. They don't even have round figure conversions. Not exactly that, but I tell myself that 3 feet are 1 meter, 2 pounds is 1 kilogram, 1 miles is 1.5 kilometers. It's not really accurate, but it gives a rough idea of how much those are. It's really weird how the sides of a problem, topic or whatever are always politicized. There is never a reasonable solution, just a left and a right answer. Edit. I wanna say many things, but to keep it short, I am grateful that the arguments on my comment are kept clean. College is a waste of money. I can't afford my medical treatment, prescription drugs, politics, red v blue, gun control etc. I think most countries still have red versus blue politics, except the red is left and the blue is right in the UK. When people are struggling with student debts, in Denmark you literally get paid to take an education. Credit score. I'm 25 and have just been approved for my first mortgage and have never once checked or even thought about it. But you're over there thinking about taking a loan just to get better credit score? What? I'm going to dodge the obvious ones and go with spending $50,000, $100,000 on a wedding. Is this normal? I know some incredibly wealthy people in the UK and I couldn't even imagine that they would spend that amount. I myself am what would be considered well off, but I also couldn't imagine spending more than I could afford to save in a year on a wedding. The stuff regarding going to college is waste of time and too expensive. In my dirt poor third world country, even poor families try their best to send their kids to tertiary education since it is basically seen as the ticket to escape poverty. Maybe, college education is really expensive there, and not really a prerequisite to get a good job. Also, the talk against boomers. The boomers in my country had it worse than us. We live in better conditions now compared back then. College doesn't open doors like it used to, but not having a college degree sure can slam doors shut. Medical insurance issues. Whenever a health question comes up, I need X but my insurance won't cover it. Where can I get it for free cheap? Paying for ambulance and A&E is freaking crazy. We're having a debate as to whether we should charge drunks and attention seekers for wasting hospital time, staff and resources, but no one in their right mind thinks we should be directly charging people with legitimate complaints. I have an uncle that died of a massive heart attack because he didn't want an ambulance bill. Kept telling his wife no, don't call, it's too expensive, not realizing moments later he would be dead on the floor. Ranch dressing. See it mentioned all the time. No idea what it is. My partner said it's similar to polished garlic sauce but with dill when he tried it. It's based on buttermilk with some herbs. Alfredo pasta. I see it everywhere but I don't even know what is it. Butter, cheese, cream, and garlic. It's delicious and extremely fattening. Tipping. I never understood that. I doubt I ever will. I'm not the one that hired you. The money that I paid for the food should go to the money your employer pays you. Why am I giving you extra? Just because? For hospitality? Well, if you aren't kind to me, then you lose customers and that's bad for you. I can find somewhere else. So, what's the deal with tipping? I'm not American, but from an earlier comment I read it's due to the fact employers over in the States generally tend to pay their employees something around $2-3 per hour and the rest they leave up to tips. Could be wrong but I'm pretty sure it's along those lines. Allergies. I'm from India and I've never met a person with pollen food allergies. I don't know how it's so common in other countries. I know allergies can be really dangerous, but not knowing a single person with allergies make me think why it's so common there. Any insights on this one? That you have employees who collect shopping carts in the parking lot of a store in Europe. You just bring the shopping cart back. I do remember a post long time ago about Americans going insane because at Aldi, which came to the US, you need a coin to borrow the shopping cart. The option that you can choose college and the fact that they say 3rd, 4th, 5th etc grade, which IDK what that is equivalent to in UK Spain. I always see that in America it seems that everyone has data caps on their home internet, which is weird as most places around the UK and Europe can just get unlimited data. Anti-vaxxers. They just don't exist here. Why would our doctors lie? Yeah, me too really. Honestly, I have never seen someone refuse to take vaccines in school in my country, except if they took this type of vaccination before. Canadian. What passes as journalism? Making university students sleep in the same room as a stranger. Scott here. I always notice Americans referring to grades. Grade 1 for example, and I still don't know what the equivalent is. I see people assuming that anyone else Americans talk to online must be American, and if they aren't, they must know just about everything about America. People paying for college applications. Not necessarily something I see a lot of on here, but it is something I hear a lot of. Over here you need to pay for some university applications. Looking at you, Lucas. But I've never seen a college you have to pay to apply to. A diamond Pepe. It only appears once in ever 20 million memes. This is the rarest Pepe, like in 5 seconds for good luck. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video.